Welcome to Issues That Matter. My guest today is Johnathan Alexander, and Jonathan is going to talk about a really important issue that's going on right now, and it's the border crisis. So, Jonathan, fill us in. How did you start doing what you're doing? And tell us all about how this is affecting the citizens of the United States.
Well, to start out with, my wife passed away back on Veterans Day 2019. I'd been going back and forth to the
Sorry.
border. And after that, I decided to buy a home out in Arizona instead of driving back and forth from Idaho. And I've been now dedicated to being on the border full time. And for me, this is all about God, family, and country. This has nothing to do with politics or anything else. This has to do with both sides of the aisle not getting the job done for America. This should be about the safety of America, about the lives that are being affected around our country, the amount of people dying from fentanyl overdose every day, the record amount of fentanyl coming through our borders. Just in the Tucson sector alone, we just got done having a little over 100 pounds of fentanyl come through the border again that they ended up seizing. And this is nonstop every day, Cynthia.
So, actually, what do? You go down to the border, and what exactly do you do?
Well, I work right beside Border Patrol. I'm down there filming live, getting this message out to America. And I've been taking senators down to the border. I've taken in, I think it's 8 or 9 senators this year alone, and I've given them an experience that they have never forgotten. We took Paul Jones. He's a California Assembly. He's running for California Assembly right now. I took him down to the border. Paul's a former Vietnam veteran. He's a combat veteran. And the day that I took him down there, we had IEGs exploding. We had AK-47 um, fire going on left and right. It sounded like a war zone. And Paul could not believe what he witnessed that day. And I'd love for you to be able to talk to Paul sometime. But the point is this happens every day. The CNN, Fox News, ABC News, NBC News, CBS, it doesn't matter. None of these guys are getting the real truth out to what's happening here in America. And that's why it's so important. My job on the border, even though I'm putting my life in harm's way every day doing this stuff, for me, it's about getting the message out to all sides of the aisle, letting them see for themselves what's happening here in America, right on American soil. We've got like Jim Chilton Ranch. He's a he's a ranch owner. I think he's a fourth generation rancher over in Arabach, Arizona. I met with Senator Jordan, Jim Jordan, over in I think it was Sierra Vista, Arizona, here about 2 months ago. I turned over a bunch of live footage from the Chilton Ranch, where my surveillance cameras have captured over the last couple of years the cartel just entering Mr. Chilton's ranch, destroying his water lines, killing his livestock off. The cartel has threatened Mr. Chilton's life, his wife's life, his ranch hands. He's down to just a couple of ranch hands because the cartel has threatened his ranch hands. Nobody in America deserves this. Nobody. But once again, all the evidence in the world has been provided over to Congress, to the Senate, from just my live footage. Nobody is doing anything to protect Mr. Chilton.
Okay, let me ask you this. You say that the major news outlets are not covering this story. Are they aware of it?
Oh, they're quite aware of it. Like I said, I met with Jim Jordan over in Sierra Vista, Arizona. I actually handed him the disc. They played it at the hearing right there that we had in Sierra Vista, where a bunch of people from Washington came in. and they had it up on the live screen right there to where everybody could watch the cartel and what's happening on Mr. Chilton's ranch. I've got all the live footage from the border. Anybody that wants to see it can go to livebordernews.com on Facebook. They can go to livebordernews.com on YouTube, and on Facebook as well. You can look under Johnathan. That's Johnathan Townsend, Townsend, and then Alexander. And you can see all my live reporting. You can see all my live videos from the border. This is why I live stream everything, Cynthia. All these news channels are so used to cutting and editing these videos to make them look like something that it's not. I want the world to see what I'm seeing as I'm seeing it. That's important to me. And when you see my live streams, you'll know it's impossible for me to cut and edit that live stream because you're seeing what I'm seeing current time and date.
Okay. So how long do you think this issue has been going on? It's 1 year, 5 years? What do you say? What's the time frame?
Well, first of all, over the last 4 years, the border crisis has become a disaster. It's a nightmare on the border. Under Donald Trump, I will honestly say, Donald Trump, by him putting in the border wall and everything else, it made a big difference. The amount of people coming through the border had decreased dramatically. The Biden administration ordered, after he took office, the Army Corps of Engineers to go in and remove sections of Trump's wall, which if you go to my websites, you'll see the big holes in Trump's wall where the Army Corps of Engineers removed it. That's where we get tens of thousands of illegals pouring through that border, up and down the border wall, through each one of the holes in the wall where they took out sections of the border wall. Again, this is unacceptable. I'm all about legal immigration. This country was founded on immigrants, but there's a right way to do it and a wrong way. So what's happening is the cartel up and down the border road, they'll sit there and they'll ship through 500, 1,000 illegals through one section of the wall. 2 miles up at another section of the wall that's been opened up, they'll be running their fentanyl and their drugs right on through and taking it over into 3 Points, Arizona. And then from there, it's trafficking all over America. Border Patrol will be the first to tell you they know this is happening. They just don't have the manpower to put a stop to it.
Okay, so you're talking about Arizona. Is this happening in other border states? Is this happening in California, New Mexico?
This is happening in every one of them. While we're on this subject, you look at Texas. Everybody kept saying, well, Texas has got the border secure. That's nothing but fake news, Cynthia. I've got live feed right there where they're showing the border is secure. Is right there at the port of entry area. That's where the wall is up. It's in place. They got the wire up, the whole 9 yards. If you go down not even a half mile down the border road right there in Texas, they've got the same exact problem. They got big holes in the wall. But they don't show that on the news. And again, I've shown that. I've proven that to the American people. And people keep asking me, well, why is Texas saying they got it under control? That's a good question. Because Texas doesn't have that border under control. I wish they did.
So, you talk about a cartel, but these immigrants that are coming here, where are they from? Are they from mostly Central America or other places besides?
Oh, no, we've got hundreds and hundreds of men of fighting age coming through from China. They're coming in from Afghanistan, Iraq. They're coming in from Iran. They're coming in even from Russia. They're coming in from all over the world. We've got over 150 different countries pouring through our borders, Cynthia, and this is nonstop. And your news networks want you to think that border's under control. If you go to my live reporting and my different border reports, you'll see there's that border is nothing but in major trouble right now.
And
Sorry
mostly
about that.
that's okay. And mostly did this happen during the last 4 years?
This is mostly happened in the last 4 years as far as this kind of a major crisis. This actually happened a lot under Obama's administration as well, under Clinton's. It even happened some under Donald Trump, but like I said, Donald Trump got it under control, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it seems like this country is so divided about politics. They're like, oh God, they don't want to give Trump credit for anything. Again, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You've got to take care of the border crisis because right now, you look at the millions of Americans dying every day from fentanyl and everything else in the book. It's nonstop. The cartel down there, the Sinaloa cartel, flat out laughed at me this year. And they said, we're all dead here in America, anyways. And I brought this to Homeland Security's attention, and I'm gonna share it with you and your audience.
Okay.
Right now, we've got enough fentanyl already that's come through our borders. They speculate to last at least 100 years. That's how much is already on American soil. They're bringing in enough fentanyl each and every day to kill every last man, woman, and child here in America. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of hoarse today. I've been out in the field a lot.
It's okay.
But here's the point, Cynthia, and I brought this up to Homeland Security's attention. If we've got already enough fentanyl on American soil to last over 100 years, what's the point of them bringing in so much fentanyl every day then? There's so much fentanyl in our country, they've got to slice one another's throats just to make a dollar because there's so much of an overabundance of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the cartel said what they're planning on doing. This is their plot, is what they told me. And they just laughed about it. And they said the American people are too dumb. They won't see it coming, no matter what I say to the world, anyways.
Okay.
So, what they're plotting on doing, they said they're going to hit our water supply, they're going to hit our food supply. They can use it in crop dusters in a liquid form over our cities. That they can use it in so many different ways. It's unreal. They can use it in the buffet food lines right there in your buffets and restaurants. Just sprinkle it over the food. Here's the point behind this. If you go to our water treatment plants, which I've already interviewed some of them, they have security, but most of them are unarmed. Most of them only have 2 to 3 security guards per shift, even working in the facilities. How hard would it be for the enemy to take out these security guards and then poison our waterways? I mean, it could happen that quick. You drop a brick of fentanyl into our water system, and you're going to kill hundreds of thousands of people. You do that East Coast to West Coast on the same day, you could very well lose 30, 40 million Americans before the American people know what the hell just hit us. For me, that's very concerning because that's very realistic that could happen. Homeland Security seems to agree with me on the matter. But the American people aren't prepared for it. They're not ready for this. And when it does, if it happens, I won't say when it does, if or when it happens, it's going to be a very sad day for this country because we've allowed this. We've allowed this kind of an infiltration on our soil. When you've got the cartel running the show on our borders, running our cities like Phoenix, Tucson, Arizona, these guys are running the show. Nobody comes through that border, for example, without going through the Sinaloa cartel. You got to pay your dues to the cartel. And here's another thing for your viewing audience, just to get off the subject real quick. Go down to, if you're anywhere around the Tucson, Arizona location, go down to on Airport Drive to the Comfort Inn and Suites right there in Tucson, Arizona. You want to see how bad the border has gotten? The Comfort Inn and Suites no longer rents to Americans. They've got a big blue tarp over their banner, and when you walk in, they'll flat out tell you they don't rent rooms. Why? Because they're getting paid $500 to $600 per night per illegal to house them instead. So that should be a big concern for a lot of Americans as well. This is happening with our motel chains. They've kicked out the veterans out of the Phoenix housing and put the legals in place. So now they're putting our veterans on the street. This it goes much deeper than just the border crisis. It's coming into our cities now.
Okay, so when you say that these hotels are getting 5 times the amount of money, where let's say I went to Arizona and I stayed at one of those hotels, that's taxpayer money that's being funded to keep these people in the hotels, right?
That's right.
Would you have any idea how much money is being spent on housing these people?
Well, I just did a report. I think it was over in Maine. I think it was Maine. It's on my Facebook. I think right now they've got over $1 billion being spent out to house these illegals. That they
And
just
that's
got done.
just one state,
That's just one state. I'm going to say we're probably up around $1 trillion
nationwide.
nationwide.
Mm,
I mean, you look at where our debt is at in America now.
right.
You might as well chop up one of those $1 trillion for what we're doing for the legals.
Now, I can't understand why the politicians who are supposed to be looking after us and creating a better life for us is destroying us. Why is that?
Well, here's the thing, Cynthia. You look at every election time, they all say everybody, including the Biden administration, all of a sudden became focused on the border. Everybody's always about border, border, border every time it's election time. The second they get reelected or somebody new gets in the office, we're back to like Groundhog Day, deja vu all over again, with nothing being done. So these politicians are nothing but full of talk. Personally, I've got a feeling a lot of them are getting their pockets lined with money to keep their mouths shut and allow this to happen. Because I can't imagine for the world of me why Republicans or Democrats would want this on American soil. And that nobody seems to care until it hits their home front or it's
Mhm.
right next door to them, or all of a sudden they lose one of their loved ones to fentanyl overdose or to the drugs or whatever, or one of their police officer friends gets shot down by the legals. I mean, we've got a mass amount of killings already from the legals. I mean, again, I'm not here to beat up on illegal, but for God's sakes, we got enough problems in our country already. And then to add to it, why? Why are we allowing this?
And tell us a little bit about the fact that somebody who is in this country illegally goes to get a driver's license, they're automatically given a voter registration form. These people are not American citizens. That's against the Constitution, right?
That's right. But here we are allowing it. Arizona right now, they're taking it to the Supreme Court because Arizona overturned the courts and they're allowing the legals to vote now right here in Arizona. And I just posted that on my Facebook as well, by the way. But now it's going before the Supreme Court. We'll see what happens in the Supreme Court. But it shouldn't even have to ever get to that point. The point is, if you're not legally here, why are you being allowed to vote in the first place?
Now, is this something that was recently implemented, or has this been going on a while?
This is recent for Arizona, where they turned around and overturned the courts. And as far as the other cities, I'm told by Paul Jones, he's running for California Assembly, they're already given the legal Social Security in California, and they're giving them benefits and all kinds of things. My question is, if, if you didn't work in this country, if you're not a legal citizen of this country, why are you being given Social Security?
Right.
Here's the other thing, Cynthia. Nobody wants to talk about this. You look at New York Police Department, you look at LAPD, they're actually hiring illegals, recruiting them for law enforcement.
Really?
Absolutely. Research what I'm telling you guys. You're going to find out I'm spot on. They're actually recruiting these guys. Can you imagine an illegal alien pulling you over, telling you to put your hands behind your back, that they're going to arrest you for something illegal when they're illegal themselves?
That's mind-boggling.
But it's true. Look it up. You're going to go, wow, that's unbelievable.
So,
And this is starting to happen all across the country, especially in your blue states. And for me, I can't for the world of me understand how your law enforcement agencies could even consider it.
mhm.
These guys all took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. The law enforcement does, just like the military and everybody else. Why are they going against their oath?
Mm. I mean, I couldn't answer that question, and neither can anybody else, right?
Yep. And I love our law enforcement. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good law enforcement guys out there. I've got quite a few of them that are my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And they are just mind boggled at this as well, and cannot believe what's happening within their agencies. Some of them are actually turning in the paperwork, resigning over it, and said, I don't want to be any part of this anymore. And, what's next? Are we going to hire the illegals to take care of our borders as well for Border Patrol? Because Border Patrol is basically law enforcement.
Right. Right. So,
So,
uh,
so
uh,
this,
what you had told me initially was the the people that are coming into this country illegally, they're mostly going to sanctuary cities, correct?
well, actually, they're being shoved into cities now that aren't sanctuary cities, like northern Idaho. I've talked to people up in Idaho. They got busload after busload going into Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, Boise, Idaho. I mean, it's happening every day. And so it's not just affecting your sanctuary cities anymore. They're actually forcing it upon the other cities that aren't sanctuary cities.
Hey, if I was a mayor and I said I don't want this city to be a sanctuary city, and I refuse to embrace illegals coming into my city, uh what would happen?
Well, technically, if you want to look at the reality behind this, Cynthia, your sheriffs out there have the legal right to intervene and arrest these people coming in. The
Mm-hmm.
sheriff, the sheriff, I think it's your morticians or whatever, are the highest laws of the land. Believe it or
Okay.
not, they've got the right to intervene on this. They just choose not to.
Why do you think that's so?
Because the federal government threatens to cut their federal funding if they don't comply. So you can always tell which areas where the law enforcement is complying because they all got brand new gear, brand new armored rigs, brand new weapons. I mean, brand new cars, you name it. The ones that don't comply, I know one out in Central Oregon that does not comply, and he works with whatever he's got to work with because he's not giving in to the federal government and he's not allowing the legals to pour in.
I'm absolutely speechless. I don't know what to say. I knew there was a problem, but I didn't think it was as bad as you're telling me.
Well, that's what I hear by all the Congress guys that come down to the border. They all say the same thing. They said, John, before we came to the border, we thought you were over exaggerating. They said, then once we've been down here with you for 3 days, we have nightmares about it now. It's like, oh my God, we can't believe what we witnessed. And, Cynthia, that's why I've been inviting Republicans, Democrats, all, all sides of the aisle. I don't care who you are. I invite you to come down to the border. And if you could tell me at the end of your 3-day tour with me on the border that my reporting is fake, I'll give you $100 bill.
Uh-huh.
Because I'll tell you what, once they're done going to the border, these I've had a couple of them actually in tears, saying they cannot believe what has happened to our country. And again, for them to be in tears is one thing. What are they going to do about it is the other.
Right.
I can show this until I'm blue in the face, but they've
And
got to take action as well.
and would you say that all this that's happening, if I'm correct, it's all by design?
I believe it is. I believe part of it's population control. I believe that they can wipe out millions of Americans by fentanyl overdose. It's gonna take care of the overpopulation, and people don't like to hear that kind of talk, but that's my belief.
Okay, what about the people coming into this country who take jobs away from working class citizens? The wages are going to be suppressed. They won't have the standard of living that they've got now. Fentanyl is one thing, but what about wage suppression?
Yeah, it's going to affect every aspect, Cynthia. It is. I mean, I don't care whether you're white, black, American Indian, whatever. It's going to affect all of us over time. And right now, they're giving more to the illegals than what they're even considering giving to Americans. When these illegals come to that border, they're given cash cards for $5,000 to $6,000 per person. They're given free housing, free medical, but yet we're throwing our veterans on the streets. They're, they say they're not going to allow them to work. Well, we know that's BS because a lot of people hire these illegals illegally. So,
Mhm.
so they're out there working. The ones that aren't working in our major cities, we have been reporting on that as well. And the crime rate in those areas have gone up 100 times because they have no income coming in. What's going to happen? It's kind of a no-brainer.
So when you say the crime rate has gone up, what specifically are you talking about? Are you talking about robbery? Are you talking about murder? What are you
Yes,
talking about?
exactly. I'm talking about robberies, murder, rape, child molestation. I mean, you name it is on the rise dramatically. And again, until this happens to one of these Congress people's families, or their family gets brutally raped by one of them, or that they end up having them move on in next door and put in a illegal housing unit right beside them or whatever, none of them's going to do anything. It's still until it starts to hit their home front. And that's the problem. Everybody ignores this crisis until it starts to affect them. And then they speak out. But until then, people have the attitude as long as it's not affecting them, why worry about it?
Have you heard any talk from any of the presidential candidates, whether it be Harris, Trump, Jill Stein, Robert Kennedy? Have they said anything about this particular issue?
Nobody really talks about the amount of fentanyl coming through our borders. I've heard Trump mention it, but nobody is talking about what they're going to do to address it, except for Donald Trump. I did like Donald Trump's response that he would wipe out the cartel. And as far as I'm concerned, he's probably spot on because the cartel runs the show on our borders. And until you eliminate the problem, it's going to continue to exist. This, as far as I'm concerned, Biden and Harris own this problem right now. They've allowed this to happen on their watch. They continue to allow it to happen. Now all of a sudden they're talking about border. We'll come down to the Tucson sector and keep watching the amount of illegals coming through every day and tell me they got that border under control. That's fake news.
Okay, when you go down to the border and you film these people coming into this country, do you just film it and wrap it up for the day? What's a ordinary day look like for you?
Well, our normal day will usually start about 4 a.m. and we'll get done about midnight.
That doesn't
That's a,
leave much time for sleeping.
no, ma'am, it doesn't. We just kind of eat while we're on the go or whatever, but we pretty much have to work around the clock. Um, and trust me, when you're on the border, you don't sleep very well, anyways.
Okay. So
But
is it a constant stream?
well, what we do is when we got the right signal, it'll be constant live feed. When we don't have it, we'll record it and still broadcast it. But there are certain areas of that border that you have zero signal anywhere.
Okay.
So we do the best that we can do. Um, and God bless our border patrol agents. They allowed me to be down there right beside them, filming this, getting this on record. Many of them just keep asking me the same thing, and their thing that they keep asking me is to please make sure the American people see what their troopers are going through every day, because nobody seems to care about what's happening to our border patrol agents as well, and the amount of lives they've lost over the last several years from this border crisis.
So the average person who lives anywhere in the United States, they really have no idea of what's happening, right?
Unless they're on the front lines or watching my live feed, no, most people are brainwashed, Cynthia. That's the only way I can say it. They're brainwashed. They're told everything's all right. This is all fabricated lies. And that's why when I get these senators that come in, play, and they try to tell me, oh, we hear this is nothing but fabricated lies, I call them out on it. And I say, well, get your butt down here then. Why don't you come down for 1 weekend and tell me it's lies? And then go back and tell the American people what you really saw. And by God, they've been doing it.
Uh-huh.
But again, for them to tell the American people what's really happening and taking care of the issue is two different things.
Okay. So w- as this terrible issue unfolds, would you come back on issues that matter and tell my audience what you're learning and what you're seeing?
Same time.
I lost the first part of the your answer. Yeah, I lost your
Yeah,
So
I'm
you
sorry.
said,
I'm in a real bad signal area today.
okay,
But what I was saying is, I'll be happy to even do a live broadcast and share it to you at the same time as it's
okay,
live, where
okay,
your audience can see what we're seeing live streamed.
okay, great, great.
I,
So
I think,
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
Um, so you and I will talk again.
You bet. And again, I'm sorry for being hoarse. We've been out
That's
here
fine.
nonstop, and it's been very dry climate.
Right, right. So you've been listening to Johnathan Alexander, and give us your contact information, your Facebook page, so people can see what you've documented already.
Yep. Again, on Facebook, they can look me up under Johnathan Townsend Alexander. And Jonathan is spelled Johnathan. It's spelled
Okay,
differently. And then Townsend, Townsend, and then Alexander. They can
right.
also find me under livebordernews.com on Facebook, on YouTube, on Rumble. It's all under livebordernews.com. And they can see my live reporting.
And how long have you been doing this?
All too many years, Cynthia. There's days I'm ready to, I'm not going to lie. There's been days I wake up and I just am ready to throw in the towel. And it's like every time I'm at that position, it's like God turns around and grabs a hold of me and shakes me and says, I'm not done with you yet, son. So I've got to listen to God and I've got to continue my mission, getting this out to America.
Okay, and I'm here every step of the way to help you get your message out.
Well, I appreciate you, Cynthia. And God bless you. God bless your viewing audience out there. And God bless this great country of ours. And again, America, it's time that we put focus on this real crisis at hand. And the American people need to say, no more. We're not on our watch. And get that message out to all of America.
Okay, so you've been listening to Johnathan Alexander. I'm Cynthia Pooler. This is Issues That Matter. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. I mean, I'm sorry. Please subscribe and please listen to what Johnathan is saying and watch his videos also, because this is a very important issue. Johnathan, thank you. And thank you for everybody for listening. Have a great day.
And Cynthia, real quick before letting you go,
Sure.
you are more than welcome to take some of my live feed from the border off of my YouTube right there and share it over to your audience.
Okay.
And let
Okay.
them see the holes in the wall, the amount of people just rushing in on the border. I've got plenty of it there for you to share.
Okay. Terrific. Terrific. Okay, Johnathan, we'll talk again. And
All right.
thank you. Thank you
All right.
so much.
All right. God bless you guys.
Thank you.